Hello, everyone. My name is Kara Sherpa, and I'm an SOS participant. I was an SOS participant for over 8 years, and this summer I'm happy to be interning at SOS Outreach as their alumni relations intern. We're excited to be here with Wendy Carey today. Wendy has been personally and organizationally connected with SOS Outreach for over 10 years. Wendy is also a board member at SOS Outreach. Um, Wendy, can you please tell us about yourself and how you got connected with SOS?
Sure, and be happy to. So we met Arn Manconi, who was the founder of SOS, so many years ago. I think probably around 2002. It was when our oldest daughter, Drisana, was living in Vail after college, and she ended up getting introduced to SOS and did volunteer mentoring with the program. And so then we met Arn through her, and I immediately fell in love with what SOS was doing and saw the tremendous value that it had in so many different ways. We are personally connected with the ski industry, so being involved with youth organizations that used snow sports as an avenue to help expand horizons was really appealing, obviously. And so that's how I got introduced and quickly became involved.
Thank you. And the first question that we have for you is, how did you navigate high school and the uncertainty of what to do after?
Okay, oh boy, high school. That was a while ago. I think everybody comes to high school with, from my memory, with all this anticipation and fear, and it's an age when we're all trying to just figure out who we are and how we fit in and what are our connections and how do we navigate this discovery of ourself and new relationships. So a little background, I grew up on a ranching family, but in a community that was quickly converting from rural farmlands to an expanding city. We lived in Los Angeles County, but way outside of the city limits. But as is happening in just about every urban area, the area around it quickly expands with people who are just trying to find a better lifestyle and more affordable living and everything. So farmlands and ranchlands are very appealing for that reason, because land is generally fairly cheap. So when I went to high school, most of the people who were in the high school I went to were not from any kind of background like mine, and I deeply valued mine, yet I'm trying to fit into this group. So you quickly learn, or I quickly learned, to rely on the things that I felt strongest in me, which was I was smart, so I excelled in school, which is one way to make a mark. My personality is connective, so I connected with people on their level, and I'm athletic, so that was kind of my world, and that was how I navigated through high school. And being the oldest of 9 children, I think I also had a desire to excel, so I looked for positions where I could contribute and use the leadership skills that I had learned as the oldest of 9 children, which you do quite quickly. So that's kind of how I navigated high school.
Thank you. And this next question will also, I think, touch on that. What tools in life do you use every day to ensure success?
The number one thing for me is recognizing my strengths and weaknesses. So as I mentioned, I'm a very connective person. Connections are important to me. I'm just smart enough to be dangerous. I know what I know, but I'm also I've come to learn that recognizing what I don't know is really more important than what I do know, because even what I do know has limits. I certainly don't know everything about the things that I even know best. So being able to use connections to seek from others what they might know, and then at some point, especially in leadership positions, you have to gather all the best information that you can and be willing to move forward. And I think sometimes one of the challenges for me in a leadership position is that I am willing to do that. I'm willing to take that risk and make a decision. But I also have to know the times when it's time for me to step back and let someone else make a decision, or acknowledge that someone else has more of a responsibility or a positionary landing, that they really should make the decision. So it's a combination of, it's sort of like, playing on a sports team. For anybody who's played on a sports team, there are times when you've got the ball and you've got to make the best decision that you can with the ball. And then there are other times somebody else has the ball and you just have to get in the best supporting position that you can. What they decide to do with the ball may not be what you would decide to do with the ball, but being able to navigate and to the best of your ability be in the place to support them is kind of the whole talent of this, I think.
Thank you for highlighting that. I think our kids also go ahead and learn that every time we're out in the outdoors, when we're doing the ski days, or when we're out hiking, biking. And the other question is, how did you navigate your career after college?
It was, it was, I'm going to call it kind of happenstance. During college, I went to University of Santa Clara in Northern California, which is a Jesuit university, and I so value the education I got there, primarily because they taught us how to think. It wasn't like you needed to graduate from there knowing exactly what you were going to do. It's just they wanted you to be able to walk away from that experience having the skill set to journey along, asking questions, learning, and eventually getting in a stream where you felt like this is going to take me where I want to go, even if you didn't know where that might be. So after considering law school and deciding that's not what I wanted to do, I really kind of took a year off and skied and worked in a restaurant and had a lot of fun. And then my eventual husband, who I had met at Santa Clara, got an idea for a product in the ski industry, and I just started helping him. He had a sales talent. I had taken one accounting class in college, so of course I was the logical accounting person. And that company turned into Cirrus, which we have today, and led to all kinds of things. So I think it's navigating that career has simply been asking, again, accessing people who knew better than I how to do the things that I needed to learn to do, and connecting up and getting the talents of people to do those things that I'm not designed to do. And then even now surrounding myself whose talents are different than mine. I am not a detail-oriented person, and I know that. So I need to be surrounded, especially for the things that I have the most responsibility for, by people who are detail-oriented, because it won't get done right if I don't have that around me.
I just wanted to highlight also that this alumni network that we are establishing is for the connections to go ahead and expand our network and to go ahead and connect our alumni with current participants and the networks in the outdoor industry networks that we do have. So thank you so much for talking about the connections that did lead you where you are today after college. And the very last question is, as a chair of Snow Sports Industry America, what personal approaches have you applied as you lead the conversation about tackling diversity, equity, and inclusion in the industry?
Oh, sure. This is something that I think is particularly close to my heart, because any mindful person has seen for the last many, many years, that there's a separation within, let's just talk about the United States.
Mm-hmm.
There's a separation of, you can call them a bunch of different things, haves and have-nots. There's so many lines that we seem to, identify that are used to separate us when we are all so much the same. And so in my personal practice, I practice yoga, I practice meditation, connections and understanding people and feelings and all that are something that's what makes life valuable to me. So now we get to this era and all the many things that have happened in our world, COVID, and then the murders of Floyd and Breonna and so many others that it's are horrible, but at the same time the opportunity and the energy that has now coalesced around making a real change, I just feel again that using my connections and my passion for recognizing in myself and in many others this desire to make a change. I cannot tell you how many conversations I've had with friends and neighbors and even strangers about over the years about recognizing that there is this inequality within our culture, and the question is, but what do we do? And nobody really knows what to do. And now with this, there seems to be an energy that is saying, okay, we're going to do something. And so that desire to do something, that energy that's in our culture right now, what I'm trying to do, and I'm so grateful that I'm in the position that I'm in to be able to influence that there are being actions within SIA. We are hosting town halls and panels, and we've just hired a DEI consultant. Many of us, along with some other industry organizations, are going to do a training, a 6-month program that will help us know next steps in all these areas. So there is a definite desire and a willingness to commit resources, time, and energy to doing this. So I hope that answers your question. But
that does. Thank you so much for talking about the inclusion and the steps that the outdoor industry and you being part of SIA are taking to talk about the gap that is in the outdoor industry and how to go ahead and open the industry up more to people of color. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think, you're welcome. I think it's very, there's so many parallels between what SOS does on one level and the industry, snow sports and outdoor industry, and then to the whole world. I think if we go through this process in a community way, whatever your community is, your neighborhood, SOS, snow sports industry, those changes, they emanate much further than just this little community that we're in. So I'm really excited to have SIA and to have the snow sports industry, which is so lily white, as we all know, really take to heart that changes can be made with inside it, and then everybody who touches that industry will be changed in some way that will emanate out into all the other contacts they have in their world, their family, their work, their own communities. And so it's really a privilege and an honor and just such an exciting time to be able to actually be a part of change happening.
Thank you so much for your insights today and taking the time to do this interview.
You're welcome.